Hi, Emmy.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Yeah.
Tzadik Aleph. Hi, so Bas Yisrael Niftzla min Kahuna, that if she was a Bas Yisrael and she married the second husband after she was told that her husband was dead and her husband was not really dead, so she's puzzled because she's a Zona. She was an Ashes Ish that was Mizaneh. So Pshita. So of course a Zona cannot eat Truma. Somebody has to mute their, we hear something in the background. Bas Levi min ha-Meiser Yitzrach. The Chiddush is a Bas Levi, who is also nifsal from eating Meiser.
Why is that?
Jonah, you guys have to be quiet because I'm teaching now. Ubas Levi min ha-Meiser mi mifsla biznus. A Bas Levi, there's no Indian of Zona by her. Vatanya Levia shenishbeis. A female Levia that was taken prisoner, we assume she was raped. Or shenivala bilaznus. Noisin lo Meiser v'ochela, she can eat Meiser. Rav Shesha's knasa, in this case of being married without aiding, with aid echad, and she's a Bas Levia, they make an exception as a special knas. Bas kohen minat truma, and a bas kohen also is nifselis minat truma. Afilu b'truma d'rabbanon. She can eat truma d'rabbanon as well. They made exam. Ve'ein yorshiv shel zeh v'yorshiv shel zeh yorshim ksubasa. The yorshim of each husband cannot yarshin her ksuba. So the Gemara says, ksuba maya, we're not talking about ksuba here. What's ksuba maya v'dite? Amar of Papa, ksuba's b'nin dichrin. This is a special part of the ksuba that any male children that will be born to this woman, when they inherit their father, they get a special amount from their mother's ksuba, more than the other brothers. And so we're talking about this ksubas b'nin dichrin. The Gemara says pshita. Why? Ma'od say melodidi dav the isur comes rabbanon. Fine, she did the isur. She went and got married with the neid echad. So they knas her. Lazara loy konsra. Maybe her children are not knas. Kamash malan that they are. And then achiv shozev chotzin v'lo miyabnim. The brothers of these two husbands, they don't do yibum, only do chlitz. Achiv shel rishon choyleitz midoraisa. So she was the wife of the first guy, and therefore he has to give chlitza midoraisa. Lo miyabe midrabona. The Chachamim made a knas not to do yibum. Achiv shel sheni, she was never really married to her. You can't create kiddushin to an Ashes Ish. So what's this chlitza business? Choylitz midrabona. We don't want people to think that the woman goes free without chlitza. There's no yibum because she wasn't really married to him. Period. Rabbi Yossi Omer ksubasa nichse baila harishon. That the ksuba, when it's according to Rabbi Yossi, is paid from the assets of the first husband. Amar Ravuna basroi moidu lekamoy. The later Chachamim, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon is who we're referring to, are moide to Rabbi Yossi and add to him. However, kamoy lo moidu lebasroi. But Rabbi Yossi does not agree to Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon moidu le Rabbi Eliezer the mabi the ikar Yisrael loikonis. he holds that if the brother does yibum of the first husband, it patters the tzara. And certainly, therefore, regarding the monetary issues, the husband is zoicha in the mitzvah and the ma'aseh there. Rabbi Eliezer lo moed Rabbi Shimon, but Rabbi Eliezer does not agree with Rabbi Shimon that mitzvah ma'aseh there b'moinu loy kanas. Mamoin issues he did not. Aval bia the isura hu kanas. It's like they know I'm teaching. This is Dr. Agatstein. Okay. Aval bia the isura who kanis, but bia which was an isur, he does knas. But Tarvai moedel Rabbi Yosi, they both admit Rabbi Yosi. Hani diyasva to say loy kanis. The mitziasa and the ma'aseh dea, which are there when they live together, there's no knas. And certainly there's no knas for the ksuba de la mishkal mefekoi, because she's going to go out with the ksuba, not going to stay married to the guy. But Rabbi Yossi lo moedelu ksuba de la mishkal mefekud lo kanas. Rabbi Yossi agrees. By the ksuba, he's not knasim. He allows her to get the ksuba. He also to say, but these other things that encourage the couple to stay together, kanas. He does fine her and eliminate those things in order to make sure that they get divorced. Rabbi Yochanan Kamoy moedel vasroy, that even the Rishonim are moeded to the Achronim, but vasroy lo moedel kamoy. Rabbi Yossi moedel Rabbi Elazar ksuba demididei ledida, the ksuba that goes from him to her loikanis. The kol shekei mitzvah ma'aseh did the midida ledidei, and certainly things that go from her to him also not. But Rabbi Elazar loy modulate mitziyasu might say there who demidi dollar didei loy kanas. The things that go from her to him, he's not kanas because he didn't do anything wrong. Aval ksuba demidi dei dido, but the ksuba that flows from him to her and the benefit to her kanas, he doesn't want her to benefit. B'tarvayim model Rabbi Shimon. Umani the mechaim loy kansi, while she's alive, the things they don't kanas her. Bia de lachar misa like koshake. There's no the bia that occurs after she was told that the guy was dead, or we're talking about the yivim, the yavim, that he allows the yibum to take place, which is after the death of the Baal. They're not going to do a knas, and it's going to be permitted.
It seems logical that if she doesn't get anything, there's no incentive for her to leave. I mean, she's not either way. If she's not going to get ksuba, if she's not going to get any of the benefits, so why should she leave then? We want her to leave, so we got to give her something.
So that's the nakud of the machlokes between these tanoim.
Right.
How much do you have to incentivize her?
Yeah.
Then it says nisis shelo birshus, which we said she relied on two Eidim. She didn't rely on Bezdin. Two Eidim came to tell her husband was dead. She went in and got married. There, the Mishnah said she can go back and live with the first husband. And Amar v'Amarav hachi hilchos, so that's the halacha. Amar Rav Nachman, ganva gnuva lamalach. Why didn't you come up? Why didn't you say something a little bit more beferish? Isvir la Reb Shimon, aim halach Reb Shimon. The Shmaitzach Reb Shimon calls law. Why not just say the halacha is like Reb Shimon? V'chitema I amin halacha Reb Shimon mashma fila b'kamaisa. Because if you say the halacha is like Reb Shimon, maybe in the first case, who got married with an eid echad. So aim halacha Reb Shimon b'achroina. So you could have avoided that problem. Just say halacha Reb Shimon in the last case. Kasha. In fact, the Gemara doesn't know how to resolve it. Rav says Amina Kinaim. 1 second, please. 1 second. Okay. When you guys are living in this house, and I teach, I go upstairs, or you downstairs, in the noise, that I teach. Okay? Going up? Going up? Listen, the only rule is when I teach, when 8 service, and you downstairs is 7 o'clock. Okay, so
Little children playing in the house are the best sounds in the house.
right, but
So
my
doesn't bother, I know, doesn't bother us, but I know.
grandchildren moved in for 6 weeks because this is Dahlia. They're moving to Israel, so they're renting out their house.
Wow,
Rent
okay,
started, so they moved in for 6 weeks. But
wow.
to give
Okay.
them the food during the Daf Yomi.
Enjoy though, enjoy it, enjoy it.
We had a birthday party with grandchildren.
Wonderful.
I think Rav was sleeping when he said this. Halacha mechlal de pligi. When he says halacha, it implies that somebody's arguing. I don't understand. My havali lemevin. What should this woman have done? Miana's answer. She's an onus. 2 Adim come to say her husband is dead. What, she shouldn't get married? The Otanya, kol haraya shebatoira, ain't tzrichos hemenu get. When you are makadesh, any forbidden relation, there's no chalois and kiddush doesn't need a get, except one case. Chutz meishes ish nisas al pi bezdin. Except the case where one aide came, said the guy was dead, and Bezdin said she could marry. In that case, even though when the second husband gave her kiddushin, she's an Eishes Ish, it requires a get. It's like a knas. She's a grusha. Api Bezdin the boy gita, api edim lo boy gita. But if she got married based on 2 edim, not eid echad, it does not require a get. Now mani, ilem Reb Shimon, it can't be Reb Shimon because api Bezdin me boy get. He doesn't require get even api Bezdin. Vatayim Reb Shimon oimer also based in boy Rason, kizodan ish isha. Bezdin, when they paskin, they made it like a mazid case, where an Eishes Ish was mezaneh. And Val Piedim, but 2 Edim, Kishigigas Ish Isha. They made it like a shoygeg, where you didn't know, they didn't know that she was an Eishes Ish. But I divided the boy get, according to Reb Shimon. Elav Rabbanani. So there is a bar pluk, there must be Rabbanan. One says, no, lo Reb Shimon, u'tritzachim. Reb Shimon Omer also Bezdin boy Rason, when Bezgin Paskin she could marry based on Eid Echad, ki chavonas ish bi isha, it's like a man having kavana to get married, and therefore it requires a get. But if she gets married al pi edim ki shelo b'chavonas ish bi isha, it's not. They made it not like that they had kavana to get married. The Lord boy did. Rambam says, Kol haraya shenitzu b'cheskas heter. Somebody got married, they thought it was a permitted person. Then it turns out it's an arayas. Einan tzrichin get, lefi shein kiddushin toifsin barayas. Chutz meishes ish, and this al pi bezdin, she'et tzrichu chachamim, as by lasheni, she'etin lo get. Special isser regarding that specific case. Rav Ashi Amalini Tani Vachi Kama. Also based in by Rason, Kesodin Ish Beisha Mitzvah Baila means if a woman is mezana as an Eshes Ish, she becomes Osra on her husband. So therefore, the based in when they paskin that she could marry based on Neid Echad, the Isser status is like an Eshes Ish who's mezana b'mezi. Now, if she gets married al P8, and that's Keshikigas Ish B'isha. It's like a shoygate. V'lo mitzvah bailan. She's not forbidden to go back to her husband. Ravina Amalinian Korban Ktani. It has to do with Korban. Also based in Boirasan, Kizod Nish B'isha V'lo Ma'aseh Korban. You don't bring a Korban if you're amazing. Now, if she gets married al P8, Keshikigas Ish B'isha Ma'aseh Korban. She has to bring a Korban Chatas. There's some who say that this is the Chachamim. With Tritzachi, Chutz Me'eshes Ish, V'shenisas al Pi Bezdin. It's in all cases, you don't require a get by an erva, except when she got married al Pi Bezdin. Mosif Ula. Mi Avrina and my Havi Lemevet. Do we say such a svara of, well, what was she supposed to do? A woman who gets Eidos with 2 Eidim. Vatnan. Kosav l'shem malchus she'ena hogenes. You write a get, and you put it in the name of the king that's not the real king. Or l'shem malchus modai, l'shem malchus yavam, which are not existing anymore. Levinian abayis, which doesn't exist. The chorban abayis. Hayib b'mizrach v'kosav b'marv. They wrote a get, and in the west, and they wrote this is in the west, even though they were in the east. But Ma'ariv v'kosav b'mizrach. And the get was given, and she gets married to a new guy. Teitze mezeh mizeh. She cannot live with the original husband who gave her the apostle to get, and we force a divorce regarding the second husband as well that she married based on that divorce. V'chol hadrachim ha'elu ba, meaning all the various fines regarding she loses her ksuba, she loses all the other financial things. Now the question is, I mean, she didn't write the get. They gave her such a get. What she should have done, not get married? And for the Gemara, yeah, she should have read the get and made sure it was correct before she gets married. Amrav Simi Barashi Toshma. Akoinis is Yevimto. Person lives with his Yevam. And then the co-wife, right? Reuven had 2 wives. Shimon did Yibum to one of them. So the Tzara goes free. Venices. She gets married. There's no Zeke anymore. But then, Nimtze Zu islandess. The woman that Shimon married turns out to be an islandess, incapable of having children. So Teitze Mezeh Mizeh. So the Tzara who got married, he cannot live with the Yavim and cannot live with the person who married her. I mean, what is this Tzara supposed to do? How did they know that she was going to be an islandess? Name him Avalon Lamavit. And for the Gemara, Lamtuni. She should have waited.
Doesn't an islandess take 10 years to prove she's an islandess?
No, it's like, I think when you're 18. When you're 18, you haven't shown the sexual characteristics. So perhaps she should have waited. Let's say the girl was 12 or 13. She should have waited.
Okay.
So he gives a chalitza now because there was no kedushin, an eyeless, and so he can give chalitza, and that would free the.
No, the problem is that Sarah never should have gotten married because the Zika wasn't broken. The Yibum wasn't the Yibum.
So but if he gives Sarah now, if he does it right now, so she is. I mean,
the island, but it's Teitze Mizeh Mizeh.
No, but
it's a knas. We don't allow the tzara to marry the brother, and we force a divorce from the person she married. Is a knas. The same way, like Ish, like an Eid Echad testifying about the guy who was in China.
So can't we can't retroactive give her not forgive her, but she give her a chalitza, and that would allow her to go back. I mean, that would allow her to stay married to the guy, because we could say it can be retroactive.
The halacha is Teitzei mizeh umizeh.
Okay, I'm just thinking.
From the
Solution.
Baila and the Yavim, because it's a knas that she went ahead and did it without waiting to determine that the woman was not an islandess. It's exactly correct. Otherwise, yeah, you'd be correct. Rabbi, Toshma. Kol haraisha amru poitros tzurosein. So we learned in the first Mishnah that, let's say Reuven and Shimon, let's say Reuven was married to
Ernie,
Yeah.
I still don't understand. Even though the Gemara answers that she should have waited, somebody wants to get married. She wants to get married. So she doesn't know. So why is the knas on her? She really doesn't know.
right. So the answer of the Gemara is
No, but she should have waited. You're not supposed to wait. She wanted to get married. What is this?
because here it's a Yibum case, and
You're
Yibum, the girl is 12 years old, and we're not sure whether she's going to be an islandess or not. So the tzara, based on this Gemara, has to wait at least 6 years before marrying, because there's a risk. She could take the risk, and maybe the woman, the 12-year-old girl at 15 will show her sexual characteristics, and then there's no problem.
It seems like it's a crazy.
Well, that's how the Gemara started. Mi amrina my havale l'mevid. We asked, do we really say a svara of what is the woman supposed to do? Aiden came to say that her husband is dead. What, she can't remarry?
Right.
Says no.
Yeah,
Until she's really sure that the guy was dead. Or in all these cases, that she had to make sure that the get was a good get. Or the woman, the tzara has to make sure that the woman is not an islandess. She has to get her medical records. She has to have a doctor examine.
Yeah, but it's so difficult to understand that. Okay.
Yeah.
I get what the Gemara is saying, but it's a difficult Gemara to understand. It seems like it's. I don't want to say. Seems like it's in favor of the man at all times.
Why
The
is
whole purpose of her wanting to get.
why is it favor of the man?
Because she gets nothing. She goes out. Finish. End of story.
They make her wait.
But it's not
around.
because she jumped the gun. She should wait.
Yeah, but you know yourself that we always talk about. We don't wait for these things. If you know that you basically what's happened. So she wants to get married. So why?
Based on this halacha, teitze mizeh mizeh. Not only that, and there's mamzer mizeh mizeh.
All right. So it's like such a big thing. I mean, it's really a serious matter. So I'm just saying. I'm sure that Tosfos or something. There must be some shot on this, because this is a very difficult Gemara to understand. That she's at fault because she didn't wait. Where do we
remember? The Tosfos gives the answer. When the husband dies, and there's the two women, the tzara and the woman,
right?
So now they're becheskas isser l'shuk. They cannot marry to the outside world until something happens. So if yibum occurs to one of the women,
right,
so now the isser l'shuk goes away. But now retroactively, it turns out that she was not oimed liyibum. She's an islandess. So the chazaka that existed before, that she was osir l'shuk, is the presumption.
But lechatchila, she shouldn't have got married anyway.
Say that again.
Lechatchila, she shouldn't have got married. She got married to this guy. So you could just say, now forget that two Adim came and they said that the guy, and then she should have waited till she's 18. A woman gets married, right? A woman gets married, right? She gets married to somebody, right? And at 12 or 13, and then they find out at 18, oh, she's an islandess.
No, but the kiddushin is a kiddushin. Remember, yibum has a thing of lahakim achiv shema meis. So the yibum is retro. It's not that they're not married; they're married. You can put kiddushin to an island.
I want to ask you a question. If somebody, if an islandess gets married, she doesn't know she-
Mekach Toas.
no,
But he
no.
doesn't have to.
Hold on.
If he wants to make- if he
let me
wants to
finish.
say-
Let me just finish my question.
Yes.
Let's say a woman gets married at 12 years old or 13 years old. The guy gets married to her, right? Gives her a ksuva and everything else. At the age of 18, she finds out she's an islandess. Does she get the ksuva or doesn't she get the ksuva?
Oh, if the husband does not want to stay married to her, he can claim mekach tos, and there's hafkos kiddushin. It's as if the kiddushin. It's as if
It's
they're not-
retroactive. It's retroactive. It's
retroactive.
retroactive.
Correct.
So why
Is that
doesn't Bezin
halacha?
go on his behalf? If he dies, Bezin can say on his behalf, the dead one, that it was a Mekach Toas, and it would pater everybody from having to go through a Yibam and Palisa.
I don't know if Bezin can do that. The husband, because you don't have to claim mekach tos. If because maybe he wanted to marry her for companionship, or yes, it should be.
But he doesn't know it. He doesn't know
But
she's
it's
an island.
not the same case as yibum. Regular kiddushin with an islandess is different than the case of the yibum. There we say the yibum was not l'shem mitzvah, so therefore the tzara is back into the zika case. It's not that the marriage goes away; it's that the yibum was not a good yibum, so it didn't really pater the tzara. So she should not. So now she gets a fine because she jumped the gun and got married before waiting to make sure that the
It's just-
case was not an islandess.
Let's just go from before, but oines rachmana patre. In other words, you now saying that she is an oines here. When she was 12, I'm not talking about Yibum.
No, you're talking about the other girl that's sorry.
She's an oines rachmana patre. So why is she
But it's not
suffering?
Rahman Apa- it's in a Hanami, there's no fun. But they, just like the case where the woman who gets married based on Eid Echad, if the husband comes back, it's Teitze Mizeh Umizeh, and there's Mamzeris on both sides. So what's the answer? The answer is that the woman has to investigate for herself, cannot rely on Bezdin. Otherwise, women are not going to get married under that circumstance. They're not going to have where they're divorced and their children are mamzer. They're not going to do it. And the same case here. Lemaisa, the psak halacha here is going to prevent the tzara from getting married until the woman is 18 and we prove that she's not an islandess.
Is this an Eid Echad? This is only based on Eid Echad, though.
I'm not saying this case.
No, but I'm saying where the Tzora has the Teitze Mizeh Mizeh, what about if it's
That was
two
not
Eid?
Eid Echad. That's the case of the tzara of Teitze Mizeh Mizeh is the case where the woman is found to be an islandess after Shimon did Yibum. And then the tzara of Ruvain went ahead and married Lashuk, but she wasn't supposed to.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's comparable cases. No, in economy, this is a strong sugya here. Omra continues. Listen to this. Omra Bai Toshma. So in the first Mishnah of Masechta Yevamos, we learned you have Reuven and Shimon. Reuven married Shimon's daughter, and Reuven also has another wife. And we say that if Reuven dies, and Shimon's daughter and the co-wife falls to Shimon, well, Shimon's daughter is an erva to him. So if the woman who falls is an erva, so it paters everything, including the tzara. So what does the tzara go ahead and do? She goes ahead and marries Chaim Yankel because it's pater from Yibum and Chlitza, right? She's now able to marry. All chutzars v'nisu. V'nimtzu elu islandess. And then Shimon's daughter turns out to be an islandess, right? Reuven married Shimon's daughter when she was 12. And then when she's 12 and a half, Reuven died. So again, the tzara of Ruvain is not going to get married until Shimon's daughter becomes 18, because Teitzei mizeh umizeh, v'chol hadrachim ha'elu ba. V'amai, name of my avalela maven. Well, we should say, like Walter is asking, what should this woman do? Why should she wait? Iboy leila amtuni. She should have waited until we determine whether she's an islandess or not. It's exactly Walter's complaint. Wait a minute, my avalela maven. What should this girl do? It's not her fault. Iboy leila amtuni. It's the same answer in all three cases, with the faulty get, with the Ksara and the Yibu, the Yavim becomes an islandess, and in this case the Erva. The Gemara goes on. Amara, Toshma. Kosav soifer get leish v'shoiver leisha. So normally, we're going to learn in Gittin, the husband would go to a soifer and engage him to write a get if he wants to give a get to his wife. And they would also have the soifer write a receipt to give to the woman. What's this all about? Because when the husband gives the get, he's going to have to pay the woman her ksuba. Well, we want the husband to be able to get a receipt back from the woman paid, that the ksuba is paid.
Let me ask Ernie.
Yes, sir.
If the Beis Din was so makpid on the man getting a receipt, why weren't they makpid on telling the woman, hey, it's also for you to get married until you're 18, until we know that you're not an islandess, to stop the same case happening. In other words, they're worried about the man, that the man shouldn't get messed up by the woman because she's going to say she never got a ksuva. Why would they not be worried about this poor woman, right, who didn't wait long enough? Why did they not institute that they should wait?
No, you're asking, why did they give her chuppah v'kiddushin to the other guy?
Yeah.
Okay. So they allowed the chuppah v'kiddushin. It's just
In other words, what's the Beis Din blaming the poor woman? You Beis Din, when it comes to protecting the man, that he should get a receipt.
Well, by the way, we'll see. It's not so simple. Not everybody holds that koisvin shoiver, because then it's going to put a requirement that they have to hold on to the receipt. Some hold we don't do that. It demands
That's
take care of the ksuba.
the big masech. Okay.
So, but let's hear this case. Now, I hear Walter is saying that why do we give in the previous cases? They shouldn't even give chuppah v'kiddushin to the woman because they say wait until we declare that she's an islandess. Why do they go ahead? So there, perhaps, is Walter's smart. The woman doesn't want to be alone. She wants to be married. Okay, but it's risk, because it's a risk that you're taking. We'll marry you, but you have to understand Teitzei mizeh mizeh. And I'm sure when they marry her, they tell her all of that. They'll say,
But I'm sure this is not shchicha. In other words, the shchiach of a woman getting a ksuva and then
forget the ksuva.
No. I'm just saying. The shchiach. I'm just telling you, the giving of the receipt, okay, is more likely. In other words, there's a much bigger propensity for a woman to come afterwards and say, "Hey, I never got my ksuva."
Let's see what the case is here. We don't even know yet what the case is. What I said is normally the husband would go to the soifer and he would contract with the soifer to write a get and a shoiver. The get he would give to the woman. The shoiver would be given to the woman to hand over to the husband after she receives the ksuba. That's the normal process. But what happened here was v'tov v'nosan get liisha v'shoiver liish. It got crossed in the mail. Instead of giving the get to the man, was supposed to give that to the woman, the sofer sent the get to the woman, and he sent the shoiver to the man. V'nosnu zelazeh v'zelazeh. So the woman gave the get to her husband, which we know has no force, and the husband gave a shoiver to the woman, which has no force. We went into his papers, and we see that he has the get. Remember, this woman went ahead and got married to another guy under the assumption that the document that she got was the get. And they found the shoiver mitachas yidei isha. So teitze mizer. So she was still married to the original guy. And now she has a second husband. Teitze mizer mizer. V'chol hadrachim ha'elu ba. Mamzer is here, mamzer is there. Freik the Gemara my name of my havilei l'mevet. This poor woman is at home. She gets a document. What should she have done? And for the Gemara, she should have read the document. She would have seen it's not a get, and she shouldn't have got married. So now we understand this a little bit better. Because she has some responsibility. So at least show it to a rabbi, show it to her advisor. Is this a proper get? Can I get married with it? I think we understand this better than the other cases where she's more of an onus, I think. Amravashi, Toshma, Shina Shmo Ushma. They made a mistake in the get, and they wrote his name wrong, they wrote her name wrong. Shemira v'Shemira. They wrote his city wrong, they wrote her city wrong. And she went ahead and got married based on this get. Teitze mizeh mizeh. V'chol hadrachim ha'elu ba. Break the Gemara v'amai. Name him ma'avad le'lamed. What she should have done. Iboy le'la krui l'gita. She should read her get and make sure that the get is correct before she gets married. Ravina Toshma Konsa beget kereach. We're going to learn all of this in the Masechta Gittin, God willing. They used to sew up the get a certain way, and if they didn't sew it up properly, it's called a get kereach. Teitze mizeh mizeh. Again, if she gets married with such a faulty get, we force a divorce from the new husband, from her old husband. She can't go back, and it's mamzeris. Again, iboyle lakrui lagita. She should have read her get. Rav Papa suffered lemevin uvda b'may avalei lemevin. However, Rav Papa wanted to paskin leniently to say, oh, what should the woman have done? Armele Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua Rav Papa. Vatani kolani masnisa. Yeah, but what about these baraisas? Armele v'lav shaninu. We gave terutzim to the baraisa that she should have checked it out. Armele v'ashinu leka v'lismoch. We obviously don't rely on mahayala lasos. And then upasak, and Rav Papa went away from his desire to be lenient. So the Shulchan Aruch paskins that if a man had two wives, and one of them was an erva to his brother, and therefore both were potter from Yibum, and the tzara went and married Chaim Yankel, and then the erva was found to be an islandess. So the halacha is that the husband has to give her a get, and she needs chlitza from the yavim, and then she can marry again. That's how the Shulchan Aruch passes, a little bit like what Elazar said. The tzara goes out from the husband she married with a get, and then the yavim gives her chlitza, and then she can be matir to marry somebody else. Now, if the soifer wrote a get and they gave him a mistake, it's teitze mizeh mizeh. And the same thing, if the names were changed, and they have the same kind of knas if she got married. Okay. Very, very Yesodistic Gemara here, because